our economy, our people, and our youth to achieve excellence and success. Roots Connections on Q, every other Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Only on Q95, the big station.
Jacob is calling his children. Well, right, so we want oh, children, oh, to Zion, oh, wanna go.
Good evening, Dominica and the rest of the Caribbean, and welcome to another episode of Roots Connections on Q, right here on Q95, the big station. It is wonderful to be in your company for another episode of Roots Connections on Q. Wherever you're listening to us, wherever you're joining us from, it is wonderful to be in your company. And what a day it has been in Dominica, right? We heard of the power outage. So I know a lot of us have been trying to get Q95 on the radio, and we could not get Q95 because of the power outage. And no, we can't blame it on the Manitou. Remember last year, they said there was a Manitou who took the power in the north. Well, this time we can't blame it on the Manitou. Apparently it was due to the geothermal testing in Dominica that was the cause of the power outage. But we are on, we are live. So if you're listening to us on the radio, please let everyone know that Q95 is back on the air, that we're here with you. We know that we have so many loyal listeners and viewers, and Q95 is your companion. This is where you find your comfort. And so we're happy to let you know that we're back on the air. Post a message in the group chat if you're listening to us on the radio that we are back for another episode. So as always, I'm your host, Dr. Simone Mathieu, and it is great to be here with you for another episode of Roots Connections on Q. You know, this is our number one program for looking at change as the only constant in life. So we look at change as the only constant in life. This is a program where we feature the change makers in our society. So we invite those who are not sitting on the sideline talking about what we ought to change for the development of our country and our people, but they're on the ground, they're doing the work, they're the visionaries, they're walking the talk and sending that passion we all have for Dominica and our Caribbean people into action for the sustainable development of our beautiful islands and our peoples, because we continue to witness how quickly the world around us is changing. So here on Roots Connections, we are committed to engaging with our visionaries as we explore topics such as the changes we should be concerned about, the changes we should be taking advantage of, and what changes we need to make in order to move our people and our region together. So we're very happy to be with you. We've been with you for the last 5 years, and so this is episode number 112 of Roots Connections on Q. We're going to have another packed program for you, an opportunity to focus on positively impacting our world, our Caribbean, especially as it relates to sustainable economic development. And so today is no exception. As a matter of fact, we're starting a brand new series today on youth development and what our young people need to secure their future. So what we're looking at today is, are we too distracted to realize that our young people are crying out for guidance? You know, there's so many things to be distracted about in this world, but we need to focus on our young people, because we're finding that a lot of young people are feeling lost, they're feeling hopeless, and they're looking for direction. And what a more appropriate place to start than with music, because we know that so many of our young people are in music and they need the guidance. So we're very happy to bring you a very esteemed panel of musicians, producers, engineers, and they're going to introduce themselves. And one of them is actually a Grammy Award winner. So I think this is the first for Q95 to have a Grammy Award winner, but they're all very distinguished in their own rights, and you will learn more about them once I read a couple of bios and they have an opportunity to introduce themselves. So we're very happy to be joined by Mr. Phil George. He's a singer, songwriter, musician. Mr. Clayton Bryant, who is the Grammy ASCAP award winner. He's also a singer and a songwriter and a producer. And we also have Phil G, who's an audio engineer, producer, musician, songwriter. And then we have Obanga, an artist, musician, producer, songwriter, and engineer. And I want to give a very special shout out to Doreen Shillingford. Obanga is her son. And so she was able to introduce him to our platform. But before we get started, we always like to start the program on a note of prayer. We continue to pray for our beautiful island and all the challenges that we face. We are always grateful for you, our audience, whether you're listening on the radio or you're joining us on Q95 on Facebook and YouTube, or Push Past 10 on Facebook. We're looking forward to your contribution to the program towards the 1 hour mark. Don't forget to share the live. Let everyone know that we are here. I thank you, Showin, our magician, for ensuring that we were on this evening despite the tremendous challenges. Lambi, it is always great to see you. Thank you for being here as you take the phone calls later in the program. So I think I've said enough. Let's give a warm welcome to our guests and have them just say a little bit about themselves. And then I will also read you a couple of bios from our guests. So Phil George, since you were the one who reached out to me, thank you for doing so. Let's go ahead and tell the folks who you are while I go ahead and share the link for the program for everyone who's waiting to join the conversation. So Phil, over to you.
Good evening, everyone, to all the listeners of Q95 and Dr. Simone, and to Obanga and my son JR and Phil G and Clayton Bryant and Sherwin, not to forget Sherwin in the studio. We thank you for this opportunity. I want to thank Dr. Simone for giving me this opportunity so that the world can hear my story or hear our story. And my name is Phil St. George. Most people know me as Phil George or Phil. They call me Phil. And I'm from the beautiful village of Calibishi, Dominica. You know, the scenic village with the lush red rock, known as for the Red Rock. That's the place where I show speed went. But anyway, I just want to say, I want to shout out to my people down in Cali to the US in 1981. And since then, I've been playing in a band. I played in bands, and also then I gave my heart to the Lord. But for the most important thing, I want to recognize Jesus as my Lord and personal Savior, the soon coming King. He has done so much for me, and I there is no words to say. There is not enough words to say thank you, Lord, for what He has done for me and continue to do in my life. And so I am a musician, songwriter, like I was introduced before, and I'm so happy to be here and to share with the world my music, and I hope it will be a blessing to everyone.
Thank you. And again, thank you, Phil, for reaching out so we can put this program together. Obanga, tell us about you.
Hey everyone, my name is Obanga. I am from Layu, Dominica, born and raised in Layu. Oh, you have the Red Rock Field, you have the longest river. Know that. So I was born and raised in Dominica. I started off in music, playing drums for my church, CUC Layu, CUC, or CUM, as some may know it. I started there playing drums, and then I moved before I even moved to the US, I had a band. We had a band called Christian Soldiers Band, me and Divine Songs. I know many of you might know him, Divine Songs. We had a band. And then when I moved to New York, I started my producing career. I was at the age of 16. I started producing. I worked with a lot of rap artists. That was in that time, was it 2007? I worked with a lot of rap artists like Dipset, Jada Kiss, D Block, a lot of those artists, DMX. As a young kid, I worked with a lot of those artists, and then I started working with Jamaican artists as a producer and just trying to make my name out there in the community. I grew up in the Bronx. After moving from Dominica, I went to high school in the Bronx. I finished school in the Bronx, and I built a studio and just kind of try to hone in on my talent and make an impact in my community as the best producer or the best engineer. I wanted that for myself. So I started there. I started building that to now tapping into my artistry because, a lot of us are producers. We're also songwriters. We're also musicians. And, we give people all the sauce. And then sometimes it's like, what, let's bring it back home. Let's bring it back to self so we could, spill out what's pure that's coming from our souls that represents us as individuals. And yeah, now I'm here today doing this as a career, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be on this show today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Let's go over to Clayton. Tell us a little bit about you.
Clayton Bryant, born and raised in New York City, singer-songwriter, background singer to a lot of legendary artists. And thank you, Dr. Simone, for having us. I'm blessed and honored to be here. I don't like talking about myself, so this is probably as much as you're going to get about me from me.
That's fine. I'm sure we'll get to know you during the program.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Phil G, tell us about you.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you for having me, Dr. Simone, and thank you, visitors, for coming through and watching an amazing show. I'm Phil G, audio engineer, first musician. I'm a drummer as well. That's how I started, and then got into production. Early years, probably like I was always around music, but production was, I always had a thing for production, and as a musician at the early ages, probably like of 5. And then started growing, got a chance to go to Berklee College of Music, studied there, and then did a quick change as an audio engineer, studied in First Institute in Florida, and it's been history. It's been a blessing to do, to bring my gifts into a whole different realm, to use them. So,
Yeah, so as you can see, I'm the host and the producer, because while you guys are talking, I'm trying to share the link to everyone who's listening. So we're going to take a different approach to this program, right? Because in the beginning, we talked about youth development. And I think it is so important that we go beyond the topic of the conversation. So you know what the topic of the conversation is already, beyond our Bouyon music, the limitless potential of Dominica's music. But in addition to covering the topic, I think what is helpful, especially to our young people, is just to be able to trace your path, the path you took, the obstacles you faced, the challenges you had to overcome in able to get where you are. So I think that is going to be a very integral part of this conversation, because what we're trying to do is also to inspire our young people. But before we do so, let me not forget to read the bio. So I have the bio of Phil George, and it says, Phil George is a Christian visual artist whose work is rooted in faith, scripture, and exploration of spiritual truth through creative expression. Drawing inspiration from biblical narratives, worship, and personal devotion, Phil creates artwork that reflects themes of redemption, hope, grace, and the presence of God in everyday life. Phil blends Caribbean and contemporary visual language to communicate messages of faith in a way that is both accessible and thought-provoking. Each piece is created as an act of worship with the intention of encouraging reflection and deepening spiritual connection. Born in the English-speaking Caribbean island of Dominica, after migrating to the United States, Phil discovered a passion as led by the Holy Spirit for both art and ministry at an early age. Over time, dual calling developed into a unified creative practice that serves churches, communities, and individuals seeking Christ-centered lifestyle. Phil also is a guitarist and bassist, has exhibited work in churches, and has also contributed to worship ushering the presence of God. Beyond the studio, Phil George is passionate about using art as a tool for outreach and encouragement. Currently based in Florida, Phil continues to develop new works that point towards hope, healing, salvation, and the transformative message of the gospel. So that is Phil in a nutshell. And based on what we just talked about, and guys, I see you on the Facebook already coming in, the regulars, thank you for being here. Don't forget to share the live. Let everyone know that we are here. So based on what we just talked about in terms of inspiring our young people on this particular path, I want to go over to Phil just to kind of flesh out the bio that we read. So tell us a little bit more about your journey, your challenges, your successes, because I want this to be an opportunity for our young people to learn, to continue to be persistent, because so many times we find these insurmountable challenges and we give up. So kind of tell us a little bit more about your work, Phil, and then Obanga, I'm going to come to you. So let me get your bio as well. And guys, if you still have a little bio, you can send, or if you will just tell us a little bit more, that's fine as well. So Obanga, over to you.
Hi.
Oh, Phil, sorry.
All right. I was a little bit, but anyway. Again, good night to all the listeners, those that have joined in. Welcome. I just want to say that, again, my name is Phil George, for those of you who have just joined in. I'm from Calabishi again. And my journey began after I left Dominica. I remembered back in Dominica, I created, I composed my first song, which is called Heaven Shore. And that song is in the works of being recorded. And so I did it, and I also changed the words to the song when I became saved, when I gave my heart to the Lord. And so the journey began where God began to work in my life, where I was able to begin to be inspired as I read his words, and began to put to pen to paper every song, every experience that I encounter with the Holy Spirit. And I've been trying to record my songs for many trials, many attempts down in the studio in Bronx, Yonkers. And it just was one step backwards every time I took a step forward. I never gave up. And my son here could tell you the story, more of the story. But one of the things that I did, I persevere in trying to get my song. Now, I am now 65, and I finally released my first song. And thanks to my son and Clay here, who gave me all the expertise and the boot camps, if you will, in the studio. And my son, thank you so much. You are such a blessing for your inspiration, your patience. When I think I got it all going on, you said, Dad, you got to do one more take. and I'm so humbled by his patience, and his expertise. But as I continue to journey, I went through a few studios. I remember one time paying this person over $5,000 to record my songs, of which he took me for a ride, so to speak, didn't come through. But I will say one thing. I believe that when God has his hand upon your life, the things that you really want in life is not always what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. And because I felt that after my first song got released, I realized this is where God wanted me to be with my son. And I remember when I came to Florida, the thought came to my mind, Phil, you got to go do your songs. You got to go record your songs. And I heard the voice said, what about your son? I completely here, and producer. So, and then I paused for a moment and thought, and I called him, and he was so excited to work with me. And so I continued to work with him in the studios and every opportunity that I get. And I'm telling you that I am so honored and so blessed. Not that I only have my son in my corner, but I also have Clay, who renders his expertise all the time. Because after every song is recorded, my son would call Clay and say, Clay, I want you to listen. And when I see Clay gives me the thumbs up, I know, okay, I got it. So I'm so honored and blessed. But not only that, but I'm a person with passion. And I believe I have a story to tell, not only vocally, but through music. And I want to tell the world what God has done for me, what God is doing in my life, and what God can do in your life. And so I'm a firm believer that the work that God has started in my life is going to finish it. So I am blessed and I'm honored to be part of what God is doing. And thanks, Clay. Thanks to Phil G. You guys are truly a blessing. No words to describe, but I have to talk like this because you have to know when to say thank you. That goes on in your life. Now, I want to add, I'm also a deacon at Greater Life Christian Church. And so while I'm doing my music, I'm still involved in ministry, taking care of God's people. And I'm so happy to do that. And so I know that my journey has just begun. Some people may say, well, it's a kind of little late in life. But let me say this. When God has a plan for your life, it doesn't matter how long, because if you can remember Abraham and Sarah, God blessed them with a child, not when they were 20, but when they were 100, 99 and plus. And so I believe that God, through music, through the gifts of music, I believe I can share to the world the anthems of those little songs that got generated through the Holy Spirit and through my heart. And so I pray that each song that I will release will truly be a blessing to everyone who hears it, and that it will trigger the thought of worship. And that's what it's all about. If I can get one person to worship God, and if my song can be a blessing to somebody who is going through hardship in life, and that song can motivate them to do better, then that, for me, I don't need money. I am just happy that my song can make a difference, because that's what it's all about. If we can make a difference in everybody's life, to God be the glory. So I want to thank God for this opportunity, and there is no words when it comes to God, no words.
Yeah. And we'll be more than happy to listen to your song in a little bit, because that is what started this entire conversation when you sent me the song. So we will be short. And I can tell you're very proud of your son, and you're very grateful for Clayton. And I also want to reiterate a point that you're making right now. I want to highlight it by saying we are never too old to pursue our goals. We are
Amen.
never told because so many of us, whether it is a health and wellness goal, because I'm a behavior change specialist, so whether it is a health and wellness goal, whatever goal that we're working on, too many times we get to our 40s and we give up. So
Yes.
I'm very happy that you're here representing those of us who are way past 40, including me,
Yes.
and are still pursuing their goals. So thank you for that, Phil, and we're looking forward to engaging with you more during the program. So
Yes.
Banga, let me come over to you. I want to read your bio as well. So it says Antonio Banga Paul, born in the nature isle of Dominica. I like how you led with that. Makes me very proud. Listen carefully, guys. Is an artist, musician, producer, songwriter, and engineer. His first journey in music started at 8 years old when he was assigned as a drummer in his local church. I'm assuming that's in Dominica. Obanga relocated to northeast section of the Bronx, NYC at the age of 16, where he developed his song as a producer, fusing elements from his cultural background with that of New York knock, making a name for himself in the city. Obanga has worked with major soca artists such as Lyrical, some of these names we know very well, Lyrical, Bungie Garland, and Problem Child, just to name a few. Reggae artists such as Busy Signal, Queen Africa, and Capleton. He's toured with Little Kim as her sound engineer and mixed and recorded Safari, Chinese Kitty, and Sexy Lexi from Love and Hip Hop. With diversity at his core, you can hear it in his productions. In 2017, Obanga released his first single, Deadass, an Uptown Bronx anthem, shining lights on his many talents. He has released a variety of records and projects since then, creating an even bigger buzz. You can find more about him on these social platforms, and we will be sure to mention those platforms later in the program. So congratulations, our esteemed gentleman. So kind of just flesh out and tell us a little bit about the journey, how you were able to make a name for yourself. And then Phil G and Clayton, we're coming over to you to do the same, because we have to go beyond just the conversations, and we have to provide the motivation and the inspiration for our young people who would like to follow in your footsteps.
Right.
And also
Well,
tell us about your unique name. Where does that name come
my
from?
Obanga. Well, I got the name Obanga. This rapper in the Bronx gave me that name. He was like, "Man, like you the original banger. Every beat you play is just banging. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna call you Obanga." And the name stemmed from there, and it just spread, and everybody started calling me that. Like, I'm going by Obanga. I'm gonna make a banger, and it just came from there. But
And the other thing I want you to highlight as well for us, without tripping you, is it can be such a challenge when we migrate at the tender age of 16, to make that cultural shift from one culture to another culture. How were you able to navigate that to find success?
it was definitely a culture shock. Um,
Yes.
but even in growing up in Dominica, I listened to a lot of country music, a lot of R&B, a lot of contemporary gospel. So my musical palette was very wide and open, So a lot of the stuff weren't new to me. I'm also a keyboard player. I'm also a bass player. So like my ears is very vast when it comes to sound and production. So moving to New York, there weren't a lot of Dominicans that I met at the time. Like when I first moved there, I didn't even know, like, man, there's not a lot of Dominicans here. I navigated or I clinged to Jamaicans because they were the closest to my culture that I could understand. So I clinged to a lot of Jamaicans. And I'm like, okay, so I got to start producing dancehall because dancehall and reggae. That's what they do. That's what they did. And then when I started high school, then I started to meet more of the American kids who listen to hip hop and play hip hop and R&B and stuff like that. I was like, okay, cool. I'm listening, and I'm going home, do my homework, and I'm on Fruity Loops till it's time to go to bed. Every night, I'm just making beats. And then we had a talent show in school where I reproduced Sean Paul's song with Beyonce, "Baby, why you stay on my mind." I reproduced that record, and me and a girl performed it, and I was famous after that in school. I was like,
Wow.
"Oh my gosh, you got this accent!" And everybody keep calling me Dirty, Dirty, yo, Sean Paul, because they see it on TV, but they're not familiar with the culture. I was like, okay, let me do that. Um, so now all the rappers in school is like, man, I need you to make me a beat, and then I started doing that. When I graduated from high school, I wanted to do construction at the time. I wanted to go to school for construction, but I could not go. So I was like, you know what? Let me try to hone in. My dad and my mom build me a studio. And I started just honing in on my talent and just, booking studio time for the lows. Like, hey, you get $20 an hour, come to the studio. And everybody just start coming. And I lived that. Friends used to be like, hey man, let's go out, let's go here, let's go there. I'm like, I'm good. Most I'll chill is outside of my house. But I locked in and I honed in on producing. How can I get, and then for producing, how can I record this? Like, I need this to be a full project now. Like, okay, I can make the beat, but how do we get this into a full body of work? So that's why I was always open. Like, and I recorded a lot of artists for free too, because I just wanted to experiment and practice myself to figure out, what is needed and stuff like that. And I didn't really have a mentor at that time, so I used to walk around the Bronx and find studios and tell them like, hey, I make beats and I engineer, and they'd be like, all right, let me see what you could do. And they'll give me a free session and let me make a beat or something. And their minds would be blown and be like, man, do you work anywhere? I'm like, no. It was like, man, if you want a job, you could work here. And I worked at many different studios in the Bronx and in Manhattan just by doing that. And then from word of mouth, people will call and be like, hey, they had this engineer over here. If you need an engineer or a producer, like you should link this guy. And that's kind of how I just, made a name for myself, so to speak, in the city by just being persistent, being passionate about what I do, because that's all I wanted to do. And also I'm like, you know what, I could get a job and I could do something else, but I feel like God blessed me with all these talents. Mind you, I didn't go to school for music or anything. It's all self-taught. And I remember one time playing drums I went and being a drummer in church. One day I just picked up the bass guitar and started playing, and my mother was leading worship. And she turned and looked at me like, since when you playing bass? She come home, my uncle gave me an old keyboard. He thought that wasn't working, and I turned it on, it was working. So I started messing around with it, and I'm learning chords and playing chords. And my mom was like, but when you learn all them things, like, when did this happen? So I feel like it's always a gift from God, and I'm like, God didn't make a mistake with that blessing. So I have to hone in on it and figure out how can I make this credible for myself, and also in return give glory to God, to let people know, like, listen, bro, once God blesses you with a gift, you have to hone in on it and work on it, because he could easily give it to somebody else. I know a lot of people who have talent, natural talent, and don't do nothing with it, and before you know it, it withers away. They try to get back in on it too late, and then nothing happens. So I feel like with that gift, that was my calling, to pursue music on that level, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, what an inspirational story, right? And I can already tell some themes that are emerging for our conversation, including being intrepid, being fearless, stepping out of your comfort zone, the importance of parents believing in their children's dreams. So I can tell we're going to have a very engaging conversation. But Clayton, let me come over to you to kind of tell us how you were able to make a name for yourself and to become a Grammy Award winner. So tell us about your journey to success as we continue to inspire our young people. And guys, keep the comments coming on Facebook and YouTube. I will be sure to take them later in the radio. And I'm hoping you can hear us on the radio, because I've been trying to listen to the radio, and unfortunately, I don't think it's coming through. So, Lambi, if you can let Showin know that he may need to adjust something, because I'm trying to, producer, I'm trying to attend to everything at one time, but I'm not sure if our audience on the radio is hearing us, and I know that they would love to listen to this program. So if you could just reach out to Showin and let him know, check to see if everything is working, I would greatly appreciate it. Clayton, over to you.
I started singing when I was a baby. That's what I was told. I didn't speak, I just sang. I don't know. Weird.
Interesting.
Music is all I've known. My mom is in it. She has a beautiful voice. She used to sing to a lot of people in New York in the jingle world, like Luther Vandross, and she was actually one of the first people to audition for The Wiz after Stephanie Mills. So being in that circle of music, I've had access to so many legendary artists like Melba Moore, Luther Vandross, Whitney Houston, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of grew up with music always in my life. My cousin is Shanice Wilson, who had a big hit with I Love Your Smile. So she's one of the
Oh,
biggest inspirations of my life.
we know her.
Yes. They took me to see her when I was like 5 or 6. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. I think as shy as I was, I said, I want to do that. So started doing little jingles here and there as a kid, into background singing because I had an ear. Went to performing arts schools, high schools, college, and still maintaining a professional musical career, going on tours. I did the British Rock Symphony Tour with Roger Daltrey, and I was content on being a very successful background singer. I loved it. I still love it. But as I call them pops, but as Phil George would say, that was not what God had planned for me. So
Amen.
a lot of the major artists were like, so when are you coming out with music? And I was like, no, what music? And they're like, I always wrote songs, but I didn't feel like I don't know. My brain wasn't like, oh, okay, I'm writing music. Maybe I should sing it. So I was forced from, as they would say, from background to the front ground by a lot of major artists. And it's been a whirlwind of a journey. There is a constant fight, I think, being an independent artist, being a Black independent artist, that you have to be very, very strong and know what you want for your career, for yourself, to keep going. I've always had the mindset of, I don't want to be a major artist because I had 3 deals on the table. I'm not going to tell you all the 3 people who offered me the deals because I don't want to get, they're out there, and they're
Right.
huge. But they offered me 3 deals in my lifetime. One was Sony, one was affiliated with Rockefeller. Y'all can figure out which one it was. And the deals were basically, I'd be famous, but I'd probably be broke. So I was just like, no, I'd rather do it on my own. It'll be a slow climb, but it'll be a successful climb, and it'll be my reward that I've, made for myself. So that's always the journey of, I feel like the struggle for independent artists is we have to find a way to keep pushing, to keep promoting ourselves. We don't have the record labels behind us. Everything is self-produced, self-funded for the most part. So that's always probably the struggle, and that can dishearten an artist. But if you know who you are as an artist, if you know what you want for your career, it's attainable. And so that's kind of what I'm going through. Even 10 minutes before we started, I was dealing with some stuff, and I was just like, oh, the music business.
And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, what did you win your award for?
The documentary of it's 23 from Stardom, about background singers coming to the forefront. It won Best Musical Film.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I won my ASCAP award from Valerie Simpson of Ashford and Simpson, who are 2 iconic songwriters. It was in honor of Nick Ashford, her late husband, who they've written countless hits, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, I'm Every Woman, You're All I Need to Get By, and so forth. So I'm honored. I think that's for me is a step higher than the Grammy, because the Grammy was a group effort, and the award itself was for my songwriting. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. So much inspiration and motivation. And, of course, Phil G, we're saving the best for last. So I'm coming to you in a minute. But, I like how you talked about Clayton, and also going back to what Phil said about listening to God's message for you, that you could have taken those record deals, but something was speaking to your heart. And so we have to tune in. But so many of us are stuck in so many distractions in this world that we're not tuning into that. Some of us think of it as the little voice in our head. We're so distracted with all the noise. We never spend time in silence, listening to what the universe, God, whatever you want to call your maker, to find out what is that message that we should be pursuing. So again, thank you, Clayton. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Banga. Coming to you, Phil G. We've saved the best for last. So tell us about your journey of making it in the music industry, and congratulations for assisting your dad in realizing his dream. Your wonderful son.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's been a long, long ride. But just to take a step back, I mean, I started, you know, I could say I started, getting the uh, influence or just being around my dad at the age of 2, just by banging on pots and pans, probably driving them crazy. But never, music was always a big part of it until um, really much. I feel like my career started when I was at this church. I know Banga has kind of similar story, and God spoke to me, and we were in the middle of service, and basically, I heard her voice saying, you got to go up there and play. Like middle service, no drums, nothing. And nervous as can be, scared, and I obeyed, and I went up there. And I think my dad was playing at the time, with his best friend, and I just went up there and started playing. And that was always a part, and that's where it started from. And then I just continued to practice. I remember long times and like with my dad, just practicing songs, the songs that now we are going through. We were rehearsing it, so I felt like all this was a part of God's plan for me. You know what I mean? So started playing drums, and then school, played in the band and everything like that. And then I was like, man, I really do want to take this, really serious. And I went to, in high school. I ended up going through audition and getting the opportunity to do a summer program at Berklee College of Music, studied there, and just was like indulge in my craft because at the end of the day, God can give you a talent, but you have to put in the work. You do have to put in the work. Practice makes perfect. So I just kept on, and I did some tours after a while, and then somewhere in between, I got into production, and I was doing some classes, like small little classes, at a school called Westchester Community College. Did summer classes and stuff. I really loved it. And at this point, it's like music is all I see. I didn't see anything else. That's all I wanted to do. I had a lot of people in my ear, like, "Oh, bro, like you're not gonna make it if you do this and stuff." And everybody was in my ear, but I knew in my heart what I was made to do, and I knew this is what God wanted me. And every time I stayed focused on the plan, a door opened. You know what I mean? So I just been blessed to do small tours and stuff like that, and then got into production, and I was like, man, I really love this. So I was honing on my gift, not really knowing. I didn't really share it with really anybody. I mean, my dad would hear me and stuff like that. And I would be just practicing and taking notes from peers around me and everything like that. And I got the opportunity, first big opportunity to work with as a musician with Wyclef's family, and as a musical director for their artists at the time. It was an indie artist, and right there I learned, artist development, because I was working with other artists and not really knowing what God was doing. He was just planning situations, and we were riding for a long time, and at that time I was dealing with health issues. So I mean, really much I couldn't do anything but that. And that's what helped me through my health issues. And then ended up doing a sold out show. We ended up getting to play for the Ball Drop in Upper Westchester, which was like the highlight of my whole career. And then that's when I was working with this producer. His name is Omid G. Worked with a whole bunch of different artists, and we were just talking, and I shared, my gift, and he was like, "Bro, you've been sitting on this whole time?" Like, he was like, "No, you got to do something. You got to do something." So I was like, you know what, you're right. And then at the church I was playing for, the music director, Pastor Brian, he was like, man, he's like, every musician, has the ear. If you can really tune in, you can become a great audio engineer. So he put an analog board next to me and was like, you got to figure it out. So I basically was mixing my own mix and everything like that. And that's how I ended up getting to audio engineer. And then I went to school for it because I was like, okay, I'm going to take this serious, and studied at First Institute. And then after that, it was like history. I started, I came back to New York because I went to Florida for school, came back to New York, was working for them for a while. I would start getting calls for different jobs as an audio engineer, which was weird to me because I was like, man, this is, I just want to play drums. But when, you just have to be faithful and allow God to, work on you, you know what I mean? So I really honed in on it, practiced on my craft, started doing production, and then ended up working officially with like Clay. We knew Clay and I, we knew each other for a while back, but we ended up really pressing into work and pushing out some records. And between production and audio engineering now, I mean, it's just been an amazing ride. So
I can certainly tell. So, and I want to open up the discussion because we have so much to cover this evening, and I want to thank you guys for really taking time out of a busy schedule to be here, because we can tell that you're very busy people, but it also shows your commitment to giving back to your community by being here. So I want to thank you for that. So we have a lot to cover, and I want to talk about some salient points that I think we need to cover as we work to inspire the next generation to pursue their path, to pursue their purpose. But I also want to acknowledge a couple of people who are joining us via Facebook Live, because we have some prominent Dominicans in the house, including the Queen of Calypso herself, Mrs. Ophelia Marie. So Ophelia, thank you for being here. We also have a legendary artist in her own right, Miss Margot LaRock, on the Facebook Live, and a man who needs no introductions, who's making major waves as a Dominica in the space of music. Mr. Chester Wilkins is on the Facebook Live, and I think you started managing someone, Chester. Remind me, I know that you're managing someone very prominent in the reggae dancehall space, so kind of let us know, and it would have been great to have you on this program, so maybe we can schedule another interview with you, because we know that you're doing big things out there as someone in the music industry. So, guys, let's open up this discussion. Everyone can feel free to join, trying to chime in. But let us talk about topics such as the importance of support, the importance, Obanga, you mentioned this, the importance of discipline, saying no to the external distractions, focusing, the importance of how do you handle rejection, because I'm sure along the way you probably got a lot of no's. So let us just open up the discussion and feel free to chime in on anything that is weighing on your heart at this time.
With me first, right?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So over the years, I've learned on how to deal with rejection, and a lot of us have to understand that it's never personal. A lot of the rejections come from a business standpoint, on how people look at you from a business standpoint, and you just have to agree, like, okay, if not then you know, the next time will be better. If it's not the next time, God always have a plan for you. It might not be right now, but His time is perfect timing. You understand what I'm saying? Even with my latest record I just released with Jesse Wu, called Wule. It's been doing great. I've had label meetings, and the deals probably almost like the deal Clayton got. You know, it's like, you guys are gonna owe me forever. I'm not gonna, make anything. And it's like, okay, I'm disappointed. Disappointment is healthy, but it teaches you how to balance or regulate your emotions to be like, okay, so this is the situation, so this is what I need to do next to move forward. So it's all about knowing what's your next step, and if one thing doesn't work, that means there's a better opportunity ahead. So just balancing your emotions and knowing how to move accordingly in those situations.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I'm certainly not a musician. I can't sing to save my life. But but in the space of psychology and being a behavior change specialist, that is just a passion I've recently started pursuing. And there's been so much rejection, but now the doors are opening. And in that space, sitting in that space of rejection, where the worst part is reaching out to someone you think would be instrumental in advancing you, and then just not hearing a response. That's the worst part. The no, if you say no to me, at least you acknowledged that you received my message, right? But the silence is so painful. But what kept me going, and this is what I want for anyone who's pursuing a personal goal, or young people, or not so young people, to think about. I kept telling myself, every no is getting me closer to a yes.
So right? Bigger, yeah.
Yep. And every no is saying you're knocking at the wrong door. Okay? So that is how we have to process it. We have to say, oh, well, that was the wrong door, right? Let's move on to the next door. We cannot stand and just keep looking at the door that is closed. Because what does that accomplish? What does that achieve? Right? Instead of wasting our time and energy looking at that door that is closed, we need to look around. Maybe there's a window.
Exactly.
Right? Maybe there's a window I can climb through and seek out an opportunity. So always be prepared for rejection, and be prepared to sell yourself. Right? Because the idea of an elevator pitch is so important, so that when someone says, hey, Phil G, who are you? What do you do? 30 seconds.
Right.
You should be able to capture their attention enough for them to say, oh, I think I might want to work with you. So guys, the floor is open. Anyone wants to contribute?
Real quick,
I want
just to piggyback off of what you just said, about selling yourself. A guy once told me, he was like, work hard until you don't have to introduce yourself. So, instead of trying to beg people like, hey, help me, hey, pull me here, hey, pull me here, pull me here, do the work, put out the work. And by the time they see you, they'll be like, oh, I know who this person is. I didn't see him how many times, because you're persistent and resistant.
Absolutely. Phil George.
Yeah. So what I wanted to add also is that just releasing my song for the first time, I see a trend, right? A trend of non-supporters, right? And so, what I came to realize is that, and I said to myself, my song is released, and the song is going to touch, or God is going to allow the song to touch who he wants it to touch or who he wants it to reach. And what I told myself is that everybody is not going to like my song and everybody is not going to embrace it. But then I believe that God never does something by accident. Everything that God does, he does it with a purpose. And that's why I believe that my song is going to go out, or the songs I release are going to touch, or people that needs to hear it, or who God wants to hear it is going to. So I told myself I got to forget about what people think. I got to just stay focused and do what God has placed upon my heart to do. So yeah, there's going to be rejection, and there is going to be people that are not going to be supportive and everything like that. But the most important thing is that if one person, like I said before, that song can make a difference in that person's life, then that's what I will embrace.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Clayton, Phil G, anything you want to add?
I feel though is, a lot of people, too, the mindset of, damn, like, what if they say, or those answers that, it's like yes, no, whatever the case may be. If you don't take a step, you will never know what will happen. So you just have to take a leap of faith and just hope that everything will plan out how it's supposed to be. If it's for you, then nothing can really come in between that. And if that person, or if that someone is coming to put a halt in whatever you got, God will situate things, because again, your gift was already, that was in your purpose. That's that you were supposed to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, and just to add to that as well, let's talk about self-doubt. Let's talk about the imposter syndrome, because I'm sure that is something that you have experienced as well, where you start doubting your own talent. Am I good enough for this? Almost like, who do you think you are? You're just a little girl from Bath Estate, which is a very humble community in Dominica. And here you are trying to be on stages in Atlanta. Am I qualified? Am I enough? So let's kind of talk about self-doubt a little bit as we continue to work, especially to inspire our young people. And I hope everyone who's listening and watching the Facebook Live, you guys are sharing this, because this is how we provide hope for our young people. This new series that we're starting, youth development, and what are the needs of our young people. So Clayton, do you have an experience with self-doubt?
Oh yeah. Going into my journey as a solo artist, I worked with another veteran R&B singer, and he had me come into his studio in Yonkers. He had a studio in Yonkers to record a song, and his producer was amazed. He was like, oh my God. I had to be about 16 or 17. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, you're amazing. We need to record some stuff on you. The artist said to me, I might say his name. I don't know.
Don't get in trouble.
I mean, he said it to me. The artist said to me, I think you should just be a songwriter. And I was kind of like, I'm me being me. I said, well, why do you think that? Because now I want to know. I'm too short. I'm too black. He's darker than me. And I was chunky at the time.
Wow.
Too fat, And the producer kind of gave him the biggest, like, what? And in that moment, I questioned myself really, really badly, and for like a good few seconds. And then I said, you're an idiot, and it's okay.
Yep.
I just told him that, and I was like, it's okay. The artist was Tyrese. I'm just going to say it. He said what he said. It's fine. And then I went home and I thought about it. My mom, one thing about my mother, she raised me to be be firm in who I am. And I've always had, God has always said, you were created to create. There was no plan B in my life growing up. You should do something else in case singing hasn't, no, there was never a plan B. There was never a thought of a plan B. So I have to always have that mindset of, if there's a no, I don't believe in no's. I don't like no's. As a child, I don't like no's. So, and if you tell me no, you have to explain it to me. And if it doesn't make sense to me, it doesn't exist. So when you tell me no, I just go and create it myself. But there are times when when you work very, very hard, and the reward or the fruit of your labor is very little or minimal or none, and there is a little bit of, okay, well, is this for me? What am I supposed to be doing? What am I, but there's always that reassurance. I'm not a type of person, I don't like to look back all the time, because, the memory is great. The blessing at that moment, in that time, in that moment, in that space was wonderful. I'm always the type of person, but what am I doing right now? So when I do look back on occasion and I go, oh, I did that. Oh, I did that too. Oh, I did that. Oh, God let me do that. God gave me that award. God put me on this tour. So then that means I need to continue, because the greater things are happening. I might not see them right in a minute. Like right now, as we're having this interview, I got 2 text messages canceling 2 gigs.
Wow. Sorry about that.
And Saturday. And I was just like, okay. No, my normal me would have been like, oh, I'm stressed out. I was like, okay, it's fine. God is good. I'm not even worried about it. So you have to be in that mindset of, I do music because I love it. It's spiritual to me. It's healing to me. And I love that I'm able to share it with the world, and people tell me how much it means to them. So the self-doubt has to kind of, get pushed to the side. When it gets loud, you just got to push it to the side. So that's how I deal with it. Like I said, it might creep in every so often, but then I realize God made me. This is what God has allowed me to continue to do. If I don't think I was supposed to be doing this, I'm sure God would have said, okay, next.
And I love how you speak to the fact that there was no plan B, because I recently watched a documentary on Luther Vandross, and that's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
He said music was plan A and there was no plan B, no plan C. If he had not made it to where he got, he would have kept doing music and worked a menial job, and that would have been the end of the story. There was no plan B. So I love how you said that. And I always say your nose should fuel your energy, because I personally, if you tell me no, what I think to myself is, I'll show you.
That part.
Right. So the worst thing you can say to me is, no, it cannot be done. And then my response in my head, I might not say it verbally, but in my head, I'm just going to say, well, I'll show you. And it has worked for me time and time again in so many areas of my life. So let our nose fuel our passion. But I also want to talk about, as we're talking about self-doubt, I also want to throw in as well, and we have to go to the studio in a little bit to invite the callers, but I want to keep this conversation going. So I also want to talk about the importance of the people that we surround ourselves with, right? And Obang, I remember you talked about, when you went up to New York, you started hanging out with the Jamaicans because they were a part of our culture. And now you've made it all the way through where now you're collaborating with Jesse Wu on Bouyon, which is our music. So let us talk, George, Phil G, Obanga, everybody. Let us talk as well as we talk about self-doubt, if you want to contribute on that. But talk about the people we surround ourselves with and the impact that these people can have positively or negatively. Because I have to mention that because we see so many of our young people in Dominica are quote unquote on the block, just hanging outside with the same group of guys who are doing nothing and they're going nowhere. So how do you go from changing that mindset to saying, let me find other people that I can attach myself with that are on the right trajectory of where I want to go? So anyone can feel free to chime in.
Okay, I'll chime in. I believe that who you surround yourself with is a major factor in your success. Growing up in the Bronx and being around the people that I were with, I was heavily on the block too. I'm not gonna. I have no shame in it because it built me to who I am today. But I was
Yep.
heavily on the block. I was around a lot of bad influences, people who love music and people who are into music, but they had no direction and no vision. It was just all hype for them. And I realized that a lot of things were going down the wrong path, even for me, being involved in certain things. And I had to remove myself, like kind of take a step back and remove myself. And a lot of how do I put that? Positioning yourself with the right people, even if sometimes it has to start by you being alone, is the best way that you could see clearly and see kind of see yourself moving forward. And I had to remove myself and stick by myself for a while and realize and do research and be like, who do I need to be around? Who do these producers and these songwriters be around? How do they get into these rooms? And then start positioning myself around these people, even if as an assistant engineer or a helper or an assistant songwriter,
Working for free.
working for free, working for free until I get into the room to where now I got y'all attention. Look at this. And it's like, oh, okay, we didn't even know because he was playing his role at the time. And I read something that says never let the master know what you're doing. So even if you with somebody who's more successful than you or whatever, don't try to come and show off yourself. You're like, play your role, follow suit until your time comes, because your moment will come where it's like, okay, I like how you move, I like how you operate, I like how you deal, I love how you communicate. Communication is a big thing when it comes to business and success. And that will take you a long way. I want to touch on your self-doubt.
Mhm.
Self-doubt is literally the devil. I tell people all the time, and I'm gonna call myself a big Christian, but I grew up as a Christian, so I'm very spiritual and I'm building my personal relationship with Christ. But I tell people everything on the earth is good against evil. Good against evil. God has blessed you with something so great, and the devil knows the plan, and he will try
Amen.
everything at any moment to deter you or try to slip you away from it. And it's always when you're so close. Even right before this record, like I'm just like, man, things are so hard. Like, like he said, am I good enough?
Mhm.
Like, am I really good enough? And I'm like, of course I'm. What kind of question is that? I've been doing this forever. I'm very talented. So like, when it comes, you just have to push that aside and be like, yes, I am. And even if, sometimes we look for instant gratification, especially when you put out a song and you just post it. If it's not received from your peers, like there's a lot of my peers who just don't support, don't share, don't repost, don't none of that stuff. But then the outside world is receiving it. And ultimately, the outside world is who's going to buy our products, listen to our music, spend money to come to our shows. It's rarely going to be the people that grew up with. You know what I'm saying? So kind of like, don't worry about the instant gratification and put in the work. And everything is not for everybody. So my song might be for a certain few and might not be for others. Your product might be good for this person and not good for that person. Find your target audience, push to your target audience, and trust me, you'll see a major difference.
Oh, beautiful. So very well said. Thank you for that, Banga. Anyone else? Phil George, Phil G, anything you want to share before we go to the studio?
Yeah, I want to add something also, is that I remembered when I first approached my son Phil G to record my songs, and he knows my capability. He knows what I am capable of, and so he says, "Dad, I think you're really gonna have to step it up to another level." And I'm sitting in the bedroom, and I was kind of like wondering, man, really, can I do this? And I'm like, yes, I can do this. And so what happens is that the other thing was, a lot of people don't know me as a singer. So some people know me as a musician. I play bass in the church, and I played with a band, and my son and I, we did island vibes together, and so I even did a recording with a band called MX Missile, and that's what we call. That's what they call with a gentleman from by the name of Edwin Bedno in he was from Vegas, and so we did that. We did that song together, and so people don't know me as a singer. So for me, I was wondering what it was going to be like. But the most important thing is when we did record those songs, my son produced the songs, and then I had to go sing them. But when he gave it to me, I'm like, I'm traveling and I'm listening to each track and I'm saying, oh my God, I got my work cut out for me. But, but the most important thing is when I came back to the studio to sing them, my son is like, he's just like in awe because he could not believe how much that I have grown. So yeah, I had some little doubts, but one thing got me going. I said, I wrote these songs and I need to let the world hear these songs. And so I'm not going to keep it back. I'm going to release it. Now, I want to add one more thing, is that I also grew up with family members that are musicians. So I don't know if you can remember Pat Patrice, who played with Exile One, and Reville Patrice. They're my cousins. So I grew up around them too, and so I used to watch them play. And my uncle Patrick George, he plays guitar too, and my cousin plays keyboard and have a drummer. So these people inspire me to do what I do today, and I am giving God all the praise and all the glory for giving me the ability to sing those songs that I wrote so that people can hear this. But the most important thing it was that I knew people are very surprised because they did not know I could sing. So for those people that are listening out there, you can discover your talent and not give up on your talent. It is so important to embrace it because when you think you cannot do it, you can do it. You just got to put your mind to it and do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Phil G, let me come to you before we go to the studio.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, everything was said that needed to be said. I mean, definitely, as I said, I've had a lot of self-doubt and a lot of people and people around me that held me back. And I had, I think there was one situation that happened when I had my first ever, I was a part of production for an album with this artist, local artist. And, I was spreading the word and everything like that. And the people that I thought were my friends were really not. Because, they were like, oh, and then it was like, it was like it took one of my cousins to be like, yo, he's been there for you. You should go and support regardless of the thing. And then it's like when I got to that high point, everybody was like, oh, yeah, that's my boy. I'm like, no, man. And it shouldn't be like that. We should support each other no matter what. And if you don't believe in what you got, who's going to believe in it? You know what I mean? You just got to keep pushing. It doesn't matter what anybody says. If you believe in that talent and especially God has given it to you, go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very well said. Thank you for that. And one of the things I want to point out very quickly before we go to the studio is that many of us don't realize that even the most successful people in life still have self-doubt. Many of them still feel the imposter syndrome, like I'm not good enough. You are good enough. Whatever the goal you're trying to pursue in this life, if it keeps nagging at you, if it keeps gnawing at you, it is because that is the purpose God has put on your life, and you need to pursue it. Pursue it even if you're scared. Pursue it even if you doubt yourself. Pursue it even if you get a million no's. Continue to pursue it, because that is the purpose that has been placed on your life, and you will not feel fulfilled until you pursue that goal. So, guys, I want to thank you so much. We have to go to the studio, but if you tuned in late, we're talking about, are we too distracted to realize that our young people are crying out for guidance? And our first topic in this series is Beyond the Bouyon Music, the Limitless Potential of Dominica's Music. And we are joined by Mr. Phil G, Banga, Phil George, as well as Clayton Bryant. So I know that we're finally connected to the radio on the website. So if you were on the Q95 website, if you were listening locally, you were probably hearing the program. But if you were trying to listen on the website, we're finally connected. So if you missed the first portion of the program, don't forget you can always go on Facebook and YouTube, and you can catch the replay on Q95 FM radio on Facebook and YouTube, or Push Past 10 on Facebook. So if you missed the first portion, you can always catch the replay of the entire program. So guys, take a break, take a breath, take a drink, sip some water, no alcohol, as we go to the studio and have Lambi invite our callers, and then we're going to take the comments. And as soon as we come back, I'm going to play your song, Phil George. We can't wait to hear it. So Lambi, over to you.
Roots and Q. The numbers are as follow: 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. Those are all local numbers. The international or overseas number, 305-432-9624. Let me run those numbers one more time. 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257, 305-432-9624, and we already have a call on the line.
Thank
Caller,
you.
Caller, please go ahead.
Good night, Lambi.
Good night.
Good evening.
And good night to Simone.
Good evening.
I am enjoying everything tonight there.
Thank you.
Especially when I hear the musician once said that they're from the CUC or LAU, that's a branch of our church. And here in Caribbean, we have a branch of church here. Mm-hmm. And one thing I am happy about is that all they're talking is they talk about God. It's God, of course. But some people are musicians or whatever, they say, I do that, I do that. I want to say that is what the Bible says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct your path. That is in Proverbs 3:5-6. And I want to say to the musicians or Dominican people, I love you all. I am happy to hear you all you're getting through. And I want to say that, as Simone was saying, to choose your people, choose who you want to be around. Because sometimes you choose friends and thinking they have known many people, they were in the Christian music and they end up being shipwrecked. And the Bible speaks about it in the book of Acts. There are many people who are in shipwreck along the way. Paul spoke of that. So I want to say, keep on the good side of life and keep on listening to what God has to tell you. Where you moving or you going? Music came up from heaven, and even though there is a portion of scripture talk about Tubal, who made his instrument, and that is where the first music was being played. So thank you very much. Keep on pressing on the young men and keep on looking unto Jesus.
Yes.
Don't turn left, don't turn right, but keep upward.
Yes, thank you so much, as always, for your contribution. We appreciate you calling in. We have another call, Lambi.
Please go ahead, caller. Caller, please go ahead.
Okay, hi, this is Ophelia, and I want to say quite excited by what I am hearing. I was having difficulty at the beginning connecting, but I am so very pleased. I love the fact that people understand that when the master puts something on you, you have to find it and pursue it, because if you don't, it's just going to be itching you. Mm-hmm. And then the self-doubt, each of the persons who intervened spoke about it, really gave me joy, because even now, after my 49 years of singing, I do have self doubt. Sometimes you wonder, does he really want you to go and do that show? Or do you really think it's worth it going to this place? But when he calls, when he can show you what shirt to wear or what outfit you should put on on your program, or for your day, then you realize that God is not just interested in the big things, let us say. He's also particularly interested in your hair, what you look like, your mission, your steps, your health, everything with you happening to you. So I really want to thank each and every one of you. I am hearing a lot more than I thought I would have heard tonight. So Simone, thank you. Keep those there going.
Yes.
I love your program tonight.
Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Queen Ophelia. Thank you so much for calling in. I will text you after the program. Thank you. Yes, excellent, guys. So let's keep it going. I'm loving the energy. I'm loving the spirit of the program. So let's jump over to the chat, the Facebook and YouTube chat, just to acknowledge everyone who's joining us. We have our regulars that we're so happy they're here with us, including Greg Baptiste, Dave Bertrand, Havis Badwell. Thank you guys for always being here with us. Chris Bugunu. Let's see some comments. Joan Smith, good evening, everyone. Father Coffee, another regular. Thank you, Father, for being here. It is always wonderful to have you on board. Chris Bugunu says, positive energy, but I'm from Pong. You answered Joe, my stomping ground. Hi, thank you for being here, Chris. Chiquito Thomas, another regular. Thank you for being here. I'm here. Kalibishi in the house. Thank you for being here. And then Kemper 9640 says, Phil is a powerful man of God that I attend church with. And I think that is coming from Lavita is her name. Kim Bruni says, Bruni 6843 says, congrats. Neil Cuffy, always nice to see you, Neil. Good night, Julia Bonnie. Good night to all. Very interesting panel. Thank you. Demar Singer, Yard Figure Brown, No Lie Soul Banga, E.R. Wood, so proud of you, cuz. I'm hoping we know who's your cousin. Let's see, Chiquita, I hear you, Claire. Okay, let's take some comments. We acknowledge Queen Ophelia already. Hugo Sentinel, another big supporter of the program. Interesting stories by all. I hope the young ones are listening. So much inspiration, according to Simone. So thank you. And the way to get them to listen is to share the program, right, guys? Margot LaRock, good night. Doc Chester Wilkins tuning in. Alicia, the cosmetologist. Greetings, everyone. Dominica Massive, good evening. Divine Roots, good night, Dominica. Good night, Dominica from Tebow, but here in Florida. Thank you for being here, Divine. And she says, work until you don't have to introduce yourself. So reiterating what Banga said, my mom is here. Medina Senhouse, good night. Dear Rose, nice to see you, Mom. Margot, that is it. Obanga, you have to put in the work. Ask Speed. So she's talking about iShow Speed, right? Juliana says, good evening, everyone. Great invested. She's invested in the program. Let's take some comments from someone we haven't heard from us yet. Anthony Simon, another big fan of the program. Great job, Phil, both you and your son, Phil Jr. Let's take another comment from someone we haven't heard from. Havis again, great program as always, Doc. Awesome job, panelists. So again, showing their appreciation for all the contributions you guys have made this evening. And as promised, we're gonna play your song, Phil. I'm not sure if we'll play the entire song, but you will also tell us where we can get the song towards the end of the program. And this time is speeding along, so let me make sure everyone gets to listen. And if you can hear, just nod your head to make sure you're hearing the song, okay? So nod if you can hear.
my strength. Deep in my heart there is a stream of joy. He came to me like a dove from above. Lord, I thank you for the joy you've given me. Oh, God is so good. He's so good to me. Yeah, there is a melody. You are all I see. I will sing a song of praise. I will bless your holy name. For the joy of the Lord, it is my strength. There is a melody. You are all I see. I will sing a song of praise. I will bless your holy name. For the joy of the Lord, it is my strength. The Spirit of truth wants to dwell in you. Come on and dine and share with everyone. God's word is so real. God's joy you will feel. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. Yeah, there is a melody. You are all I see. I will sing a song of praise. I will bless your holy name. For the joy of the Lord, it is my strength. There is a melody. You are all I see. I will sing a song of praise. I will bless your holy name. For the joy of the Lord, it is my strength.
And you know, this is what we need right now. This is what we need right now. We need inspiration. We need to reconnect to God. There's so much going on in the world. So, Phil, that song is so timely. And I want to say congratulations to you, Phil George, Phil G. Clayton, for your collaboration. And I want to get Obaya's feedback on that song, but we'll hold on that for just a minute. I want to hear his thoughts on that particular song. But congratulations. And I want to ask about the inspiration behind that song and how that song came to be. And I'm hoping the clock will slow down just a little bit because there's so much I want to talk about. But before we do, let me say a very special thank you to DJ Shan at Q95 for always supporting our music, because I sent him that song and he added it to the playlist, and he has done so many times before, where artists, you know, people kind of know I'm the connection to Q95. So many people have sent me their music, and I was able to just send it to him, and he always responds positively. He always puts the music on the radio. So thank you, DJ Shan and Q95, for how you continue to invest in our people. And we will be sure to tell you how you can get the music at the end of the program. So stay tuned till the end of the music and show some love in the comment section. You give us a thumbs up, give us some claps in the comment section if you love the music. I see Margot is saying rhythm nice. Divine Roots says, yes, look, rhythm. So show some love in the comment section. But Phil, what was the motivation, the inspiration for that song?
Well, it's all about the Holy Spirit inspiring me. I am a worshiper. I love to worship, and as I worship, God just inspires me. And every song I write based on truth, on the Word of God, and that's where the inspiration comes from. And so, if you notice that in the first segment, Deep in My Heart, there is a stream of joy. It came to me like a dove from above. I'm talking about the Holy Spirit. And then the next verse talks about come on and dine. I'm talking about the Word of God. God's Word is real. And I just want people to understand that you can come and dine in the Word of God and enjoy God's Word. It is not hard to understand, and it is not it is not difficult to understand. God's word is real, and it comes alive in your heart. So this is all about inspiration by the Holy Ghost. And I want to say that, the songs that I write, a lot of them that I'm about to release, they are my anthem. I call them anthem. They're not long. One person said to me, Phil, I want to hear more in the song. I was looking for more, and it is all an anthem. It is catchy. It is just to put you in a mood of worship and praise to the Almighty God. And so that's why I wrote the song. I want to motivate and inspire people to worship God and to come and dine with God. So that's where the inspiration came.
Yes, and you've done a wonderful job. As a matter of fact, I host and produce another radio program every Tuesdays at 5:30, and I'm going to make that our theme song for next Tuesday, because I love that song. And this is one of the mandates of my program, that I create strategic alliances. So I'm happy that we have a Banga on the call this evening, so that there's a potential collaboration. Can you do something with that song, Banga? What do you think?
I wouldn't touch that song. I would leave it as it is.
Excellent.
To me, it's perfection. The melodies is catchy. The beat is nice. The message is the message is touching. Is like, yeah. I wouldn't touch that song at all.
Excellent.
But I need the link. So Phil, send me the link.
Yes. And this is how we start strategic alliances, right? We connect people to see the potential and the possibility of what we can do for each other. So I'm liking the looks of this program. But as
who did the production? Sorry, not to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
Who did the production?
My Phil G and
Clayton. Man, that sounds great. That sounds very good.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
That sounds good.
And for people that are wondering what is the title of the song, it's called Deep in My Heart. So anybody that you can find this song, I know she said in the end of the program.
No, go ahead.
But if you want to stream the song, you can find it on Spotify. You can go on iTunes Music. You can find it on Amazon. On all digital platforms, you can find the song there. So I know Dominica have a problem in people streaming YouTube music down there. But if you have an iTunes account, you can definitely stream the song from Spotify, or you can go to the other digital platform.
Mm-hmm. So again, if you're listening on the radio, again, it is Deep in My Heart, and the artist is Phil George. Very easy to remember, because what I will do, and guys, because the time is ticking away on us, in the private area, go ahead and put any links you want to share, your website. Phil G, I did get your bio, but unfortunately we won't have time to read it. So share the link to your website. If you have any websites you want to share, if you have any contact information you want to share, place it in the private chat area that we talked about at the beginning of the program, and I will be sure to read it out to our radio audience, and I will be sure to share it in the comment section on Facebook and YouTube. But, as we talked about, this was supposed to be a conversation on Beyond Bouyon Music, right? So I think we can see that Phil is taking Dominica beyond Bouyon Music. But I also wanted to have a conversation where we talk about where do we go from here? Because we see now that our Bouyon music, a genre of music created by Dominica, and I want to be a little bit more specific because I know, Clayton, you're not Dominican, right? So I want to be a little bit more specific because we are very talented people in Dominica. So we've created two genres of music. One is called Kadas Lipso, and Queen Ophelia Marie, she's the lady of Kadas Lipso Music. The creator of Kadas Lipso Music is Mr. Gordon Henderson and the Exile One Band, and I'm sure he's going to see this program because he's a loyal follower of this program as well. So kudos to him. And the second genre of music we've created is Bouyon music, back with WCK in the 1980s. And so we have continued, we've seen our musicians continue to build on that legacy of Bouyon music to the point where Bouyon music has now taken over the world. So we have to continue these conversations about where do we go from here. And Banga, I'm so happy that you have that collaboration with Jessie Wu, because she is not of Dominican heritage. I believe she's Haitian. And so she is taking our music beyond Dominica. So just kind of tell us a little bit about that particular collaboration and your hope, your aspirations. Where do you see all of this going?
Well, my approach when it comes to Bouyon music, like everything else that I do, I always try to fuse it with where I come from. So even when I do hip hop or R&B and stuff, like I had one of my singles, the song was named Zeze. It was a hip hop New York drill record, but it started with Dam Chibedule my feet.
Love it.
And then the beat just switched to hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So I always tend to do that. And then with that record with Jessie Wu, I feel like Bouyon is at a great place that everybody's recognizing and learning the culture, learning even about Dominica on a whole, because a lot of people don't know. And I feel like as long as we create and tap into other cultures and kind of hone in on Dominica's Bouyon, but kind of create a fuse where it's appealing to the rest of the world, I feel like we could take Bouyon to another level. And it's not selling out or like, taking away from what we're doing, but collab with other people, because we are a country of 70,000 people. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the plus that the other Caribbean highlands have, or even like Africa, I always compared like Bouyon could be the next big thing, like what Afrobeat did.
Yep.
Where we're lacking is in population, right? So in order to make Bouyon get to that level, we have to collab with different islands and different people and different cultures and collab the sound, so we could really take it there to that next level.
Yes, I'm gonna put this in your lap because I think you can do it, and I get the sense that every one of us have a very growth mindset. We're growth mindseted individuals. So here is what I'm gonna put in your lap, Obanga. We need a Bouyon Afrobeat collaboration. Can you do that for us? Because I think if we get there, we're really gonna take over the world.
It's in the works.
When you have it, send it my way, so we can be the first to put it out to the world.
Yeah, to the world for sure.
So for sure. that is going to be your homework assignment.
I will for sure. I'm excited. I'm excited to do that for sure.
Yes, because Can you imagine if we got one of the major Afrobeats artists to collab on a Bouyon track,
on a Bouyon record? Yeah, it's not far-fetched, because I don't know if people look on social media right now, but on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, you're seeing some random person from it could be Europe, could be Africa. They have Ghanaian making their type of Bouyon and stuff right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Bouyon is being recognized on a massive scale. My only fear is that Bouyon gets to a high point and we as Dominicans are not in the forefront.
That is exactly where I was going, because that is my concern. And guys, you can feel free to chime in as well, because that is my concern, that we lose in all of this, right? So you kind of have to do the balance, like Clayton was talking about. Do you sign the contract, but it's not exactly what you want? So do we continue pushing Bouyon out into the world to the point where it's not recognizable as Bouyon, or others start claiming it as theirs? And we had that one artist in Trinidad who was already calling herself a Bouyon artist, the Bouyon princess. And my point was, you can't be a Bouyon princess. You're not even a Bouyon artist.
Right, exactly.
Right. So that is my concern, that others will begin to claim ownership of the Bouyon music. How do we protect that brand as Dominican?
I think it stems from
I think you went out.
Hello?
Try again.
Hello?
Oh boy, you went out.
Hello?
Yes, we got you.
Oh, okay, good. I think it stems that issue with the girl saying she's the Dominican Bouyon princess. That stemmed from a Dominican giving her that name, which is the first sign of selling out. You don't do that because you feel like a bigger artist is. They did one song and now you want to give them that credentials. You know what I'm saying? You don't do that. That's like quick to sell out. It's like you're begging for fame, you're begging for attention. We don't do that. We keep it grounded, and I feel like bouillon is a melting pot, right? Bouillon is a soup. So we can't just categorize bouillon as one set of things. Like, you have hip hop, you have rap, you have conscious hip hop, you have positive speaking hip hop, they have gangster hip hop, you have reggae gospel, you have soca gospel, you understand what I'm saying? So there could be different variations of bouillon that we need to target that's still open for
Oh, you went out again. Try the mic again.
Hello? Oh, they don't hear me. They don't hear me. That's why they're blocking me. They're talking the truth. They know I'm talking the truth. They know I'm talking the truth. We have to hone in, and also the business side, we have to take bouillon as a business. I feel like we're still having fun with the genre and the culture. We need to start taking it as a business. Even if we produce a song with whoever outside, we have our contracts right, and let them know, like, this is the category, this is what the genre is. And you know, because I see people put out songs and then people not even correcting the other artists who's on it to say, like, hey, this is bouillon. Even before it's go out, it's like we're not educating them. But when it's out, then we're like, oh, why are you guys calling it that? Because it didn't start from the root. So we have to start from the root. We have to hone in on that. We have to capitalize. We have to copyright. We have to do our paperwork right, and then collab with the world with our sauce. Not just give it to them. It has to be like a one hand wash the other kind of thing.
And I'm happy Chester is here because he says, great wealth information. Let's look at the structure put in place and enhance. There are a lot of things needed to be in place, starting with metadata and coming together education. Very important. So we need to bring Chester into this conversation. And me and Chester go way back. We used to play pan in Mr. Andre Steel Pan House in the 1990s. So Chester, great to have you here. But we need to continue this conversation because it is so very important. Go ahead, Banga.
Also, I feel like because Dominica doesn't have a music industry, we don't have a music industry, we don't have an infrastructure. I feel like it has to start there and then go out. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we need to form a conglomerate of whoever are the heads that are possible to do it, whoever has resources and the finances to actually build a structure. So when we send out the music, it's not just a guy just recording a song and putting it out there and then it takes off and then nothing else happens after that, or then you face copyright issues or whatever the case may be. We need that infrastructure. We need to build that industry on island with the artists in order to go abroad. That's my input.
Yeah, thank you. So guys, thank you. The time is speeding along, but I'm so grateful that you're here. So this is the final question I want to send around the room. What would you say to our young people? Those who are passionate about music, they don't have the support at home. Their mom is not building them a studio, right? Their dad is not supporting them by having them record his own song. What would you say to young people who are trying to pursue this path? And I especially want you to touch on the fact that, unfortunately, the challenge we see in some of our young people is a mindset of entitlement. I did a program one time and a young man said, well, they're not helping me, nah? They're not helping me. They don't want to help me. They want to keep everything for themselves and they don't want to help me. That is the wrong mindset. Right? Your mindset should be, what can I bring to the table? How can I learn? How can I assist? How can I contribute so that I can be a part of the table? I can be invited to the table. So what would you say to our young people in terms of where should they start, the challenges they're going to face, and where should they go? So Clayton, let me start with you. Okay. What advice would you give to young people or anyone who's trying to pursue a new goal?
Well, first I want to say to Julianne, thank you for playing In the Morning over and over and over again. She said she can't stop listening to it, so that's Phil G and I's new single. So thank you for that.
Excellent.
My band is mostly younger musicians, besides Phil and I, we're the old people of the group. And I always tell them, when you're around seasoned people or people that have done things a little longer than you have to listen. Especially when they're successful at what you're trying to do, you have to listen. That is the most important thing. I've had so many incredible, legendary mentors, Whitney, Luther, so many people, but I always listened. I always wanted to know, well, how did you get from this part of your life to the success? And you can't act like you know everything. You know, a lot of these young people will play music and they've sampled somebody that, and they're like, oh, I'm like, no, this song is from 1963. Like, are you kidding me? So you got to listen, and you can't go into everything knowing everything. You got to be able to ask questions. And if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. It has to feel right internally. It has to feel right thinking logically. And your spirit and your energy has to know, okay, this is the right thing for me. And is it morally great for me? So that's basically my what I would say to young people. And no is not definitive. No does not make or break you. Sometimes we have to create our own. Sometimes we have to go another route. But no is not the definitive answer.
Yes, beautifully said. Thank you so much for that. Phil G, over to you. What would you advise to young people who are trying to pursue this path in music?
Definitely. Expand your knowledge. Don't just wait for it to sit on your lap. There's so many resources out there. Google and everything like that. I'm sure I've been on plethora of gigs, and I'm not too sure of the console, whatever the case would be. You can go on YouTube or wherever the case would be is to get the information that you need. So definitely get the knowledge that you need. You know what I mean? And be around the right people that's going to push you in that direction. More power and more knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So being around the right individuals that's going to get you to, help get you to that next level or mold you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very well said. Thank you for that. And one of the things I want to touch on is the fact that so many of our young people, unfortunately, have an ego, right? So we know it all. We know what we need to do. We know this, we know that. And we don't want to listen to those who have walked the path. So how do we break through to them to let them understand that you need to check your ego at the door? Banga, I'm going to give that one to you.
You just have to let their ego wreck them.
Ouch.
It's the only way they're going to learn. If you're not willing to listen to me or listen to Phil or listen to Dr. Simone or Clayton,
mm-hmm.
You have to just learn on your own. You have to learn via experience. You have to let your ego is going to wreck you, and then you're going to double back and be like, you know what? Mm-hmm. I think I should start listening. And that's the only option you have,
Absolutely. Hit rock bottom. But your advice to young people.
Rock bottom and come back up. And you said something earlier about entitlement. A lot of artists feel entitled. Nobody has to do anything for you, no matter how talented you are. Nobody has to do anything. So once you get that out of your mind and feel like, oh, well, they're not playing my song, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. We have one thing that artists have, or creators, or content creators, or if you have products, you're selling products, whatever it is, the power of social media.
Yep.
We have the power of social media where you don't have to beg anybody to do anything. Learn marketing, do research, like Phil G said. Do the research. All the research is on the internet. Do the research and figure out how to market yourself. The internet is there. There's nobody that could say that held my hand and brought me here or brought me there. Mm-hmm. I was aggressive enough to be like, this is what I want. This is where I'm going to go. This is where I'm going to go. What are they going to tell me? No? Okay. At least I tried as opposed if I didn't try and don't know what the outcome would be. You know what I'm saying? So No one is entitled to give you anything. Remove that from your mind. Believe in yourself and then let everyone see the vision because of the work you're already putting into yourself.
Yeah, and you're so right, because when I was receiving my 1,000 no's with what the goals I was trying to pursue, that's what I told myself. I told myself, nobody owe you anything, right? And life is about choice. You chose to email the person, and the person chose not to respond. Move on. But it is so easy to get trapped in what is not working. Right? So other things might be coming along on the side, but that main gig, that main opportunity that we are locked in on, it's just not coming through. But instead of saying, well, at least this is working, my social media is growing, right? My followers are growing. Yes, you may not get the support from your family, which is unfortunate, because a lot of times that is where we expect the support to come from. That might not be working, but I want us to focus on what is working, because gratitude is the great multiplier, right? Mm-hmm. Gratitude is the great multiplier. So if you're always grateful for the little that is happening in the direction you want it to go, the gratitude is going to keep multiplying. Patience, 100%. Grace, giving yourself grace that it's going to happen and it's going to come to fruition if you simply give it to God, patience, grace, and gratitude. So I think that is what we have to think about in this journey. Phil, over to you. Advice for young people on this journey.
Advice. You came to right corner. I would say God, number one. Because if you put God first in your life, he can direct your path. I think some people want things like yesterday, they said they use the micro metaphor. You know what I'm saying? I want it, give it to me, and I want it now. But I've learned to trust God, trust in God. And if people can put their trust in God and allow God to work in them, because look at me. Yes, it took a long time for me to put out my first single, but God, I will say God allowed me to get to this point where I was able to do that because I continue to trust God. And that's the most important thing. People say, I don't have time for God. But I'm telling you, without God, we can't do nothing. I don't care who you are. We need God in our lives, and we need to allow God to work and order our steps, because that's how he will accomplish, because he will close the doors that he does not want you to go through, and he will open the doors that he wants you to go through.
Amen. Very well said. And if I could add to everything that has already been said, I would say be authentically you, right? Beyonce is taken, okay? Beyonce does Beyonce very well. We don't need another Beyonce. You cannot be another Beyonce. So stop trying to imitate Beyonce's voice. And that's just in general, right? So if we're speaking locally, maybe Shelly, right? Maybe Mr. Benji and his very, scratchy voice. I love his voice, but it's a very interesting voice from Triple K. So don't try to be somebody else. Be authentically who you are and follow your path. But I want to share your contact information before we leave. And thank you so much, guys. I feel uplifted, and I hope that our audience feels uplifted and empowered and motivated and inspired because of our conversation this evening. So I want to thank you so much for, again, taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. So let's share some contact information for those who are listening on the radio. Of course, if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, it is in the comments section. But if you're listening on the radio, Obanga is Obanga Music. So OBANGAMUZ, or Z, like we say in Dominica, IK. So again, OBANGAMUZIK on all platforms, so all social media platforms. And then we have, let's see, Phil is I am Phil G on all social media platforms. So again, I am Phil G on all social media platforms. Clayton is at Clayton Bryant Sings on all platforms. Clayton Bryant Sings on all platform. And then Phil George is at Phil George SR on all platforms. So again, Phil George SR on all platforms. And guys, you know how to reach me. So if you need to reach me, you can feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to put you in contact. Before we wind down for the evening, anything else you would like to share? Yes, Clayton, go ahead.
I just want to, Chester Wilkins said what was really very important. Learn the business. Learn the business. A lot of young artists don't really understand music business. It is music, but it's also a business. And if you don't know how to run the business, you will never be successful, because you can put music out till you're old and gray and not make any money, which is insane. And there is money out there for us, but you must learn the business, protect yourself, trademark your name, get a PRO, create a business, all of it. So, yes.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And so we have the Jazz Match Selassie, and he's here saying uplifting energy, but always remember talking don't keep people and great things together, but it is thy act of doing together that binds people together. So we're getting motivation and inspiration even from our audience. Unfortunately, guys, I cannot take all the comments, but we want to thank you for your contribution to this program. We always appreciate you, whether you're calling in by the radio or you're simply listening and you're sharing the program with your neighbors, your friends. If you're on Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much for your contribution. Guys, again, thank you for being here for another episode of Roots Connections on Q with Dr. Simone Mathieu. It was a pleasure having you on and for having you to provide all this wonderful motivation and inspiration. I hope we can do it again. So again, if you tuned in late, you're listening to Roots Connections on Q. We're starting a new series on youth development and what our young people need in order to secure their future. And we started off with the question this evening of, are we too distracted to realize that our young people are crying out for guidance? And we had 4 wonderful men provide us with that guidance in the space of music today, as we talked about beyond music, beyond Bouyon music, the limitless potential of Dominica's music. So we were joined by Mr. Phil G. Banga, Phil George, as well as Clayton Bryant. And Clayton, we're adopting you as a Dominican, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Now that you know all about our culture, we would love to adopt you as a Dominican and to welcome you to our Dominica community. So thank you in particular for jumping on board for our program. So again, if you missed any portion of the program, you can catch the replay on Q95 FM radio on Facebook and YouTube, as well as Push Past 10 on YouTube. Lambi, thank you for being here. Showing. Thank you for working your magic up to 7:30 this evening. I wasn't sure if we would be live on the radio, but because of your incredible talents as an engineer, you were able to pull us through and get us on the radio this evening. So again, thank you everyone for being here. And we will continue this journey. We're grateful to be on this journey as we continue to harness the power of technology, international radio, social media, and podcasts to leverage the skills and expertise of our Caribbean and our friends of the Caribbean to build the capacity needed for the sustainable development of our beautiful country and our people and create the strategic alliances. So I'm hoping that Phil G and Banga can do something together. They can collaborate and they can find opportunities. And the question we always leave you with is, what role you in the audience can play in this important mission of the sustainable development of Dominica and our people. If you're looking to reach me, you know, you guys always seem to find my phone number, but if you're looking to reach me, you too are doing something that is positively impacting our community in Dominica around the world, you can do so at pushpast10@gmail.com. So that is pushpast10@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. So until next time, guys, again, I cannot thank you enough. I hope we have another opportunity to engage in this conversation. So again, thank you. You can unmute your mics and say farewell to the audience. Thank you for being here and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. And I just want to thank
appreciate you.
Ophelia for chiming in.
Oh, yes.
Thumbs up to Ophelia. She's the best.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Have a good night and thank you again.
Bye.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, Lambi.
Roots Connections on Q. 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. every other Wednesday on Q95, the big station. Dominicans journeyed beyond our shores for decades in search of economic opportunities and educational advancement. Many are ready to give back to their cherished nature island. Welcome to Roots Connections on Q. Join Dr. Simone Mathieu on Q95 as we tap into the life and times and expertise of our nature island Dominicans, at home and abroad. From our agriculture and industry to sustainable development, resilience and renewable energy, to the music, art, and entertainment industries. Join Dr. Simone Mathieu and guests every other Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We examine where they came from, where they have been, where they are now, and how we can move forward together with our brothers and sisters at home and abroad to inspire and elevate our country, our economy, our people, and our youth to achieve excellence and success. Roots Connections on Q, every other Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Only on Q95, the big station.
Jacob is calling his children. Well, right, so we walk. Oh, children, home. To Zion, wanna go, take me home.
One trophy through the chance and the drive.
From the islands to the sea, from the mountains to the sea, every die-hard fan is shouting,
Bring that World Cup home for me.